action as it unfolds. Alan McManus, Neil Foulds, Stephen Hendrick, good to have you here. Alan, it's a familiar place for us, Llandudno, but it's a different championship. Not only is it a different championship here in North Wales, but it's also a sort of reworked Players' Championship, isn't it?
Very much so, yeah. We're down to 16 players. It's the best 16 of this season. Since the season started 9 months ago, there's been a race, within a race, if you want to call it that, of a 2-year ranking list that we have. But this is the 16 best players this season, and it's a brilliant field.
And that's really why Mark Allen doesn't make the cut, isn't it? Yeah,
because it's quite unusual for a defending champion not to be here. I think Sean Murphy had the same thing in the old PTC finals. He never made it through 1 year. But that's how it is. You know, Mark hasn't won anything this season, and 15 of the 16 players here have won a ranking tournament, and certainly the Masters in the case of O'Sullivan. So you've got to be in it to win it. And the way that the tournaments are now stacked up top-heavy, if you win a tournament, you get such a big prize, it elevates you up the rankings straight away.
High-quality field here, Stephen, and it's best of 9 frames, a little bit different as well.
Yeah, getting towards a proper snooker tournament, as it were, from all these shot clocks and best of sevens, for one for the purists. But there's only 2 or 3 tournaments to go now before the World Championship, so the top players this tournament, such a high standard. Some of them might have an eye on next month and how their games hopefully getting to that standard that they'll need to win the World Championship. And
£125,000, Neil, to the winner.
Absolutely, and that kind of brings it up to another level. We've seen a few £100,000 events, 125 for the winner here, but it is top heavy. I'll say that. You know, it's £10,000 to be in it, and that goes towards your ranking, 15,000 and 30. But you know, otherwise it goes up, and it's a big prize.
Yeah, very big prize, as it should be. I think we're starting to get towards some kind of FedEx series. I think that's the end game of what the snooker tour wants to be. And the good thing about it is, as I said, it starts at the start of a season, so everyone starts fresh with a clean sheet, and you know, you go from there. And it's a great innovation.
Like the tennis, yes, when you mentioned the FedEx. We were at the shootout in Watford last week, 128 players in that one. Not everybody universally delighted with it being a ranking event, Neil. No. Stephen, you didn't even show up, but there you go. But you were watching it, I know, glued you were. But Alan, you and the other 127 players who were involved have been canvassed about whether it should continue, is that right?
Yes, Barry Hearn sent us all an email just the middle of last week, asking the guys, do you want the tournament to continue or do you not want it to? Now, if it does continue, it will stay a ranking event. There's been a bit of kerfuffle amongst the players, which I don't really see the big issue. It's one small event a season. We have 20-odd events in a season. For me, it's no big issue, and I think it should stay.
Well, I was going to say, far be it from us to ask how you voted, but I think you've just blown that one there. And we will be able to tell you later in the week the result of that, but certainly from what you understand from the people you've spoken to, Neil, you think that everybody's voted to keep it?
Well, you've got a choice between keeping it as a ranking tournament or nothing, so work it out, you know. You might as well say, but have the tournament as is, or I'm going to punch you in the face. You know, it's going to stay on, right? If it's not voted in, there might be a few who don't want it there, but they haven't got to play in it. And as long as it turns out that the guys that don't want to play in it don't mind if everyone else plays in it, that's what it comes down to.
What's your thoughts on it, Stephen?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, it's a fun event. It's a bit of a game show in terms of snooker. But yeah, I mean, the players have got the choice. They don't have to enter it. And you say if the top players that don't enter, they shouldn't have any qualms about everyone else, you know, getting some ranking points. There's a lot of players that can't play in these events. There's ranking points up for grabs here. So yeah, I suppose it gives the chance to a lot of the players who I've never seen before to get a few points.
It certainly was a busy few days. And looking ahead to this tournament then, let's focus on that now, because we're going to see first up in action someone who wasn't in the shootout, of course, Ronnie O'Sullivan up against Liang Wenbo.
Yeah, absolutely. It's always good to see him come back, but these are the tournaments that he gets his dander up, and he's not won a tournament, let's remember, in more than a year. He's lost a few finals to other top players, John Higgins, Judd Trump. So he'll be disappointed with those, not so much performances, but he wants silverware. That's what he's all about, as we know. Yeah,
I mean, obviously, you know, Alan's right, he hasn't won a ranking event since he won the Welsh, but of course he did win the Masters, and interestingly, it was his match with Liang Wenbo in the first round where he should have lost. Wenbo had a blackied pot, I should think 8 out of 10. To beat him 6-4, and then he won the match and won the tournament. I'm not that convinced that O'Sullivan's playing well. I don't think he played all that well in the Masters by his standards, personally.
He's a great player on his day, Ronnie. I think Wenber's only beaten him once, and they seem to be quite good mates off the.
Yeah, I think they're very good friends off the table, which is can sometimes be tricky. Yeah, that match that Neil mentioned in Masters, I mean, that was crazy. I mean, it's a complete let off for Ronnie. Then he goes on and wins the event. But I agree, he's not playing well. I think he played one decent session in that tournament. That was against Marco Fu in the semi-final. Yeah, but again, going obviously a lot of the people who you expected to do well in the World Championship might be, even someone like Ronnie would like to go to Sheffield with some sort of confidence behind him. If he keeps losing, then it's not the best frame of mind.
Two players in action also tonight who've both been in good form in recent weeks, with Stuart Bingham taking on the German Masters winner Anthony Hamilton.
Yeah, Stuart Bingham for me is very up and down. I'm a massive fan of him, like all these players that are here, to be fair, but he played really poorly a few weeks ago in Preston, and then played well the following week. I think at times he has some technical issues, and he's actually coming up now with his World Championship ranking points to come off in a couple of months, which will be a bit of a blow. But he's a top player and he's a tournament winner, and I'm sure he'll continue. I
think winning the Welsh took a bit of pressure off, but Alan's right. He actually played Championship League last week and played brilliantly for a spell, knocked in all kinds of big breaks. I think he's coming out of that slump, but he starts afresh here, and Alan's right, those points come off and that drops him down the rankings.
And of course, he's up against Anthony Hamilton, who finally won his first ranking event a little bit earlier this year and was actually in great form in the shootout as well. Such a relaxed, comfortable-looking player around the table.
Yeah, I mean, whatever happens the rest of the season, one of the stories of the season, I mean, obviously we've seen Mark King win an event, Anthony Hamilton winning in Germany was just incredible. If you'd asked me at the start of the season that these two guys would win ranking tournaments, I'd have said no chance. So, fantastic story. And he's got the game that he could win this week. He's got that game.
Yes, he went to Riga at the tail end of last season, had to beat Peter Ebden and another good player just to stay in the tour. He got through a few rounds, stayed in the tour, and lo and behold, he's here, and he's been, in many ways, the player of the year. OK, fantastic. 2 matches coming your way. Don't go anywhere. After the break, expect plenty of fireworks as the rocket meets the firecracker.